Okay, we'll get started. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Yes, Harry, your video and your audio is off. That's correct, because this is a webinar. What we did the other night was just a meeting. So that's why you were able to do video and audio. Webinars are different. So thanks to Wayne, our esteemed member, he's going to teach us about Photopills tonight. This is going to be the lecture. And just to give you an overview of what Photopills is. As far as next month goes, we're going to plan on doing, continuing what we're doing now next month. We just don't know what we're going to be teaching. So keep an eye on the email for that. Next Tuesday is going to be the board meeting. And then after that, we'll try to let you know what's coming up. All right. If you guys, as usual, if you guys have any questions, please type them in the chat box, and we'll be monitoring that. And Dan will give Wayne your questions. And depending on what the question is, either Wayne can respond directly, or if it's a lengthy question, we can allow you to have audio so you can ask Wayne directly. Okay, so I'm gonna sign off for now, and I'll see you guys on the backside. Enjoy.
The intent of tonight's meeting is to give an overview of the app called Photopills. It allows you to plan out photo shoots by positioning yourself where you want to stand to take the shot, put a pin where you want to what's your topic that you're going to shoot. And I got to turn the timeout off. So, okay, so it basically allows you to say, I'm going to shoot from here. I'm going to shoot to there. It does things like shows you the topography, the maps that are there, and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that when you get Photopills and install it on your phone, one of the things that you might want to do is turn on the widgets. Now, mine's an Android phone, so that's basically press and hold on an empty screen, and the widgets come up, and then you select the widgets. And these are the widgets that are available. And it shows you, the sun rising and setting, when the golden hour is, and so on, when the moon rises and sets. It shows you when the galactic center is visible, what time it is. And then if you've created any plans, it also shows, like, the next plan that I have is for June 22nd, and it's Highland Light, and it's a Milky Way shot. So, and then I've got Highland Lighthouse on August 19th, because I'm supposed to be out in Truro. I mean, out in Provincetown that time. And then I did another one where I want the moon to be just over the top of the Situate Light. So, we can do that. Now, from these here, now I'm going to press on this plan, and that brings me into Photopills with the map, and it shows you this is the red pin is where I'll be standing to take the picture. This black pin is located over the top of the lighthouse, and then this is where the moon rises off at the horizon. And this one is as it rises, it gets to, whoops. So a certain height over the top, and you'll see that it's, the moon height is 572 feet above the black pin. So we'll go through all that later on. But that's the widgets are a way to get into it. Also, you can hook things up to your calendars. So they'll remind you if you've done it a year in advance, you might have forgotten that you actually did the plan. It'll hook all that stuff up for you. It allows you to collaborate with others who have the app. If you do a plan and I want to send it to Neil, I can send this via email and he can load it up in his app, and then he can make suggestions on, you know, I screwed it up and this is the way I really should do it, that kind of thing.
Hey, Wayne.
Hey, yeah.
We have a question from Andrea Gardner. She asked, how do the pins get there? So I think what she means is...
I'll do all that later. I'm just trying to do an overview right now.
Okay.
The widgets are just getting in there. I'm not trying to actually use the app. The planner is the most complicated of what they call pills. And let me go on, and I'm sure I'll get to it. Okay. There's a number of ways to get the pins there. All right, so I'm going to go into the actual app, and this is what you normally see when you bring up the app. You'll see that each one of these boxes is what they call a pill, and there are three menus, right? This is my stuff, and these are plans that I've created.
I have one. There's another question actually from Marianne Buss. She asked, like, how do you get this info on iPad or iPhone? Do you have any?
So the app is available for iPad, iPhone, and Android. So you would install the app onto any of those three, and it's got all the same layout. The iPhone and the Android differ slightly. For instance, if I go into the pills and I go into the planner, if I want to get out of the planner, I hit this arrow, which takes me back out. It's like a, go to the last one. But on the iPhone side, I believe there's a button up here called Done, and it takes you out. But again, I'm a Android user, so.
We have another question from Muffy. Says, I don't understand how you get to see the widgets or what they are. I think she's referring to the pills.
No, if you're talking about widgets, that's it's dependent on the phone. I believe the iPhone, you pull it down from the top and drag it from left to right or something like that, and you can pull up the widgets that way. You select the widgets that way. On an Android phone, again, you would go to, come on, go to a screen, do this, down the bottom you'll see there's widgets, and then I go in here and here are the widgets that are available for an Android. Again, I don't need to put those there because I've already got them on there. So, that answer the question? Okay, so back to this. This is the main screen again. The guys at Photopills, they do an awful lot of YouTube videos. If you wanted to do a particular plan, I want to do a Milky Way or a sunrise or a sunset or a moonrise or a moonset, all those kinds of things, you could go to Academy here. There's user guides, there's video tutorials, they'll sell you t-shirts. They do all that kind of stuff here. That's all in the Academy. Now, if you go to the user guide, it basically takes you out to the web and shows you an online user guide. These are YouTube videos, like I said. They're the how-to articles, again, same kinds of things. They also have written documents so you can print them out and all that kind of thing. So that there's Academy, that's resources that you can get information about it. The pills, again, that's the actual things that work in the application itself. And then my stuff, they'll bring up, they put a bunch of points of interest. I mean, the guys that wrote this are in Spain. So there are points of interest from all over the world. You can add your own points of interest. There's a whole bunch of things. They also have things like awards, where if you go out and you plan a photo and take a photo, and you submit it, they go through and they choose one a month, I think it is, and I think there's actually some monetary reward for it. But like this photo tells you down here that it was a Sony AR7 III, 20 millimeter, f2.8, 15 seconds, ISO 6400, and 20 stacked photos. And then a lot of time they'll put some kind of explanation in here. So each one of these, and these are all like their award winners. Let's see if I can find another one. Yeah, so this is one where they want the sun rising, out through up here. So you're able to do this. Nancy and I did a photo shoot on the 20th of May where we had the sunrise over Powder Point Bridge in Duxbury. And we sat in the middle of the bridge, took the photos, and the sun came right up over the middle. It's really amazing kind of stuff what you can do with this application. One of the other thing it does is it's specific. A lot of the tools are specific to your camera. So in the settings, you can set up units. I use imperial, but if you like meters instead of feet and yards and stuff like that, then you can do that. If you got your camera set up on third stops, you can do that. This is the camera that I use all the time. What map am I what type of map I'm using? Typically, it's a hybrid where it's both satellite and roads, and that's what I've selected there. All of these things most of them you can just leave, but the things that you do want to make sure you put in there is your camera. And if you're using a second camera, they allow you to put iPhones in there, phones from your phone. There's a ton. They even have drone cameras that are available in here too. So you can put all that stuff in. Okay, so that tells you, yeah, hi Dolores. Okay, so I'll go back to, I showed you the Academy, I showed you my stuff. I showed you the settings. Okay, go to pills. Now, it's kind of funny, the name is kind of funny. Each one of these, they said like each one of these is called a pill. There's a planner pill, there's a sun pill, and it's like this is the pill that you take if you want to, do a moonshot. Or this is a pill that you would take if you wanted to do and set what the exposure should be if you're doing an ND filter. This is a pill that you want, so if you wanted to know what your field of view is going to be like. And I'm going to go through a few of these individuals. So, but again, it's all about, solving the problems that you have in order to create a plan to go out and take good photos. Okay, so one of the things, let's start with the sun. It gives you the time time that it will rise. It tells you the moon rise. It tells you when the golden hour is. It's got all this information, when the sunset is, blue hour, all that kind of stuff, all the different twilights. All that kind of information is there. If you wanted to go to the next day, there's the arrow up here to the right of the sun. You click on that and it changes the date. And click on that again, you keep going, right? And then, of course, the other one goes back. And then I think if you double click on this, it brings you to if you double click on the sun, it brings you back to today and the time stamp for today. Let's see, what else has it got? Calendar. So if you just wanted to, get the rising and setting for, in a calendar format, this is what you get. The other thing that a lot of the pills have, not all of them, but a lot of them have, is what they call augmented reality. And that's where if you click down here on the bottom on augmented reality, I'll go back. So down here in the bottom, there's AR. Click on that. And then what happens is that this is I just picked up my phone. I'm pointing it at my screen now. So if you've got, let's see, where's the horizon? The horizon is right here where the S is. So that's the horizon. So if you pan this way, eventually you'll get to where you see the sun. This is the path of the sun. That's where the sun is right now, the yellow right there. This is where it's going to go through the horizon. And then, of course, if I went to the east, you're going to get the chance to see my ugly basement. But you could see, again, here is where it would rise in the east. And then this is the path. And then you would, of course, you see the whole thing going across to the other side. So it's really kind of cool. If you go to a particular location, you can bring up this and you can say, if it's early in the morning, you want to say, all right, the sun hasn't risen yet, but where is it going to rise over the horizon? You can bring this out and you can point to where it is and get your camera all set up in that direction, and then make minor modifications once the sun does start to come up. What else? Trying to think. Settings. What do we have in settings? The settings are typically it's the position that you're currently in. If you're in a plan, it's the position of the red pin, which is your shooting position. So we'll do that. All right, let's go out of that. Moon is very similar. The thing about the moon, the calendar for the moon, though, is this is pretty cool. This gives you all the moon phases, so you can tell when the new moons are. Unfortunately, we don't have any more supermoons this year. But if you went in April, on the 7th of April, there was a supermoon. And the way they designate it is with that yellow circle that's on it. And I believe, yeah, in the month before, it was also on the 9th of March. There aren't any more in the rest of the year, but again, it's one of those ways where if you were looking for a supermoon, this is one of the ways to find them. Okay. So again, AR, very similar. Try to find it. Nope. Maybe it hasn't risen yet. I don't know. Oh, there it is. You see that this is the moon at during its path across the sky. So that's kind of southwest right now. See, it's kind of southwest. Again, you know, of course, if you're out there, you can see it, but again, it allows you to say if it's a moonrise or moonset that you were looking for, you can say where on the horizon it's going to be. And again, the arrows up here at the top allow you to go from month to month. And let's see. And the blue, the circle, that's the current day. That's the what it shows up there. All right. So let's get out of the calendar. And again, this gives you a bunch of the information as well. It also gives you information about the galactic center. You know, when will it be visible? It starts at 10:21. If I go to the next day, you'll see that I thought they would have the. It only has the visibility starts. Okay. So exposure, we're talking about exposure. This is if I want to use my 10-stop ND filter. So what I would do is I would take a test shot to get an exposure. If this is the you know, the f-stop that I use, and if these were the settings that I use for that test shot to get a proper exposure, I could come down here and click in there and come to my 10-stop. Where is it? There we go. And I'll do OK. And now the shutter speed, it's calculating shutter speed for you. So instead of 1/25th of a second, you need to do 8 seconds with that 10-stop filter on. Okay, so that's one of the things you can do there. And you can do, let's see, what you can calculate aperture or ISO as well. And it changes, you know, what variables you would put in there, of course. Exposure, depth of field. This is kind of cool. So if you've got a 60mm lens and you use f8 and the distance to the subject is 10 feet away, then it gives you information about your depth of field. The depth of field is 4 feet 1 inch, or 1 25/32 of an inch. So it's actually 4 feet deep, the depth of field. And it begins at 8 feet 4 and a 1/16 inch, and it goes out to 12 feet 5 and 27/32 of an inch. Again, so they have augmented reality in this one too. And this is kind of cool. So what it allows you to do, so if I put my feet where the feet are here, and as I raise it up, the orange line that goes across, that's the 10 foot where the subject is. And then it shows you the band that's in focus from the 8'4" to the 12'6". Okay, so that's not pretty useful if you're gonna, do a landscape shot or something like that. You want to see what the depth of field is going to be. Again, further away from you, it actually gets, so say I made it 100 feet rather than, so now it goes from, the near limit would be 33 feet away, because I'm focusing on the subject at 100 feet. So everything from 33 feet to infinity would be in focus with a f8 and a 60 millimeter lens. Change the lens, it changes the depth of field as well. Helpful in doing things like trying to get the focus on the stars, for instance, so that they're pinpoints. This allows you to use the hyperfocal distance and to get that. So what else? Field of view, same kind of thing. If I've got a 85 millimeter lens and my subject is 6 feet 7 inches away, and I'm taking a landscape, it tells me what the angle of view is, 16 degrees vertical and 23 degrees, almost 24 degrees horizontal. But it also has an AR view. So the orange square, if I'm using my 85 millimeter and I'm pointing it towards my screen, that is what would be my field of view. So again, another one of those tools where it kind of gives you, an idea of what you're looking at. And a lot of times they'll give you, pictures like this to say this is the rather than the table here, where you have to, this makes it a little bit easier about determining what you got for a field of view. But again, it's dependent on what camera you're using, because my camera is a full frame. So my field of view would be different on an 85 millimeter than, say, a Canon 7D Mark II would be, because that's cropping it in. So the field of view would be narrower. And you can do, portrait and landscape mode. So that's field of view. There's a hyperfocal table. This is used so that you can determine, again, where do I need to focus so that I get the most in the most in the photo that's in focus. So if I focus beyond the hyperfocal distance for a 24 millimeter at f8, I need to focus beyond 7 feet 11 inches, and then I'll get from, I believe it's a third of that into infinity as being in focus. Okay, AR view here too. And that's the same kind of thing, right? So I got, position for my feet, 7 feet 11 inches away. That's how far that blind is, and then everything from there on is in focus. So what else? Night AR. Night AR is good if you're going to a site and you say, I want to know if the Milky Way is going to be in view tonight, and is the galactic center going to be in view? So if I click on my night AR, now the Milky Way is always in view. Okay, there's some portion of it that you're going to be able to see. And as you see here, starting right here where it crosses the horizon in the southwest, and as I go further west, goes above the horizon, and then over here someplace, it's going to set. It's going to go beyond, below the horizon. But the galactic center is not going to be in view. The galactic center, I would have to be like at, I think it's 10 o'clock. Yeah. Went too quick. Sorry. All right, so on May 30th at 4:01 a.m., the galactic center, that orange spot, is going to be in the southwest, and it's going to be almost vertical, right above my head. Earlier in the year, early in the night, it's going to be kind of like a arch. I'll show you that when we get into the planner. There's some more tools in there to do the Milky Way. So let's get out of night, AR. If you're going to do a meteor shower, they've got a calendar where they have all of the meteor showers that are available. The top one, which is December 28th to January 12th, Quantritids. Sorry if I screwed that up. But the thing that you'll notice, it looks like there's a energy bar next to it with the all blue. That says is that's a peak for January 4th. And if you click on it, it shows you the information about it, where the radiant is. The radiant is where it looks like the meteors are coming from. It also tells you the hourly rate. You know, this is a pretty powerful one. So 110 meteors per hour. So you can plan those kinds of things. And again, it's got the AR so that you can pick out where it's going to be. Where is it? So this point right here, that's the radiant. And so I would look in that direction in the sky, and the meteors would streak from that point. Okay. Go to here. A lot of times people are wondering, how long should I do my exposure when I'm doing night sky so I can get pinpoint stars. So this is a calculator that allows you to do that. You put in the focal length of the lens, the f-stop that you're going to be using. Now these numbers, this is my widest lens that I have, and this is the as wide open as I can put that lens. And on the default, it allows you to do barely noticeable trails, or I can be more accurate. if you notice, and what the guys at Photopills always recommend, this is what we normally use. So take the 500 rule and divide it by the 24, and you come up with 21 seconds. Well, you'll see visible star trails at 21 seconds. The NPF rule is more accurate, and what it would take is taking multiple images and then stacking them on top of it to get enough light to see the stars. And it also allows you to do shorter duration photos, but so you don't get the camera heating up and getting more noise, fake noise in it. So you get better nighttime exposures, that kind of thing. So, but sometimes when you got this kind of lens and that kind of f-stop, 13 seconds is better than the 21. Okay. I don't know why they put this in here. It basically, you take your finger and you go around and if you took an exposure that was 15 hours and 38 minutes, that's what you would get. And you can come back down to 0 seconds. And the guy says he likes to play with it. It makes him feel calm. So. And another one that we're going to go over is time lapse. So if I wanted to know what the length of my time lapse is going to be, and I'm going to take, this is the interval between shots, okay? And what you do here is, all right, so 21 seconds. Well, I'm going to take a 20-second exposure, and then I'm going to wait a second, and then I'm going to take another 20-second exposure. So that's what your shooting interval is. And then you say, well, I'm going to do it for 3 hours, and I'm going to create a clip that's at 21 frames per second. So it determines and this is the size of your image. It's dependent on your camera. And so what it does is determines that if you did it for 3 hours, you'd come up with a 21.5 second clip length. You'd have to take 515 photos, and the total storage area that you would need would be 12.57 gigabytes in order to do that. So on your card, you'd need at least 13 gigabytes to store those photos. So again, that's to help you do that. Now you can do other things. Instead of clip length, if you want to determine the shooting interval, just changes the parameters that are asked for, or what the duration is going to be. It's going to calculate the rest of them. But most of the time, people are doing clip length. Now, the other thing that's nice is that a lot of times you don't know where to start. What should be my interval table? I mean, my interval for a particular thing. Well, they did a nice little thing. If you're doing fast moving clouds, 1 second and a duration of 20 minutes should give you clouds moving through the sky. Or if the clouds aren't moving that fast, again, 10-second intervals. But they even go down to, and it's funny. Come on, where are you? If you were going to take pictures of racing snails, you would want to take 1 second photos and do it for 10 minutes. So, but again, it's got a lot of nice little things that kind of get you going on, traffic. That's fast moving stuff. You want fairly short intervals.
Hey, Wayne?
Yes.
Rick has a question that he wants to ask you about. Can you hold on a quick second?
Sure.
Okay. Rick, go right ahead. Take a second here. Still not allowing me. Hold on a minute. Rick, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I must have made a mistake there. I pushed the wrong button.
No problem.
Okay, so you've got a question, Rick?
No, I pushed the wrong button, I guess.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Are there any other questions to this point?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, somebody is asking about tutorials and everything like that, but I figured that you were going to probably ask that, going to explain that at the end of the your talk.
Yep. Okay, so again, most of these are, I mean, timer is a timer, that kind of stuff, but they're useful tools to handle different problems with taking photos of different things. The biggest thing in this app is the planner, and this allows you to do this right here. Now, I had loaded up the plan for Situate Light, and you see that plan was for 1/29/21 at 7:26 p.m. That information is down here, the timeline. This timeline is 24 hours. If you press and hold on it, come on, it changes from 24 hours to 15 minutes. And that way you can slide, again, it's sliding back and forth, and you can go minute by minute. And then if you click and hold on it, you can go back to the 24-hour. And this allows you to show, all right, so let me describe the things that are on here. So the bottom down here, that's your timeline. This is the map area that comes up. You need to be connected online to get the maps. Most phones are connected so that you can, unless you don't have cell service, but you can get them on the phones. iPads that are Wi-Fi only, you'll need to have a Wi-Fi connection somehow, use a hotspot or whatever. That's one drawback to this, where the photographers and ephemerists can work with offline maps. That's on their list of future features. This up here, this is a panel, and there are a number of panels. These white dots here, these represent different panels that are here. Sun and moon, basic stuff about that. This is how you get your shooting pin, and I'll talk about that later. This is about the sun. It talks about, what direction would you have to look at and stuff like that. Here's the moon. The different twilights, civil, nautical, and astronomical. When the blue hour is. And then there are two of them for the Milky Way. And this one, for instance, again, so you see this bar again. At certain times of the night, this bar it may go brighter. And all right, so I had tapped the timeline down here. So we're back at this current time on this date, the current date, today's date. So tonight, it is visible, but you can't quite see the information about it yet, because this was a plan that was done for the moon. but there are some things about these panels. This picture here shows you the relative angle of the Milky Way at that time, at this current time. And as I move through, you'll see that it goes more and more vertical as you get further into the night. And now this picture is also almost vertical here. So that's where you would see the Milky Way would be, if you wanted a shot that was vertical next to a lighthouse, for instance, you would look for this kind of orientation. These are also they're buttons or hot spots. So if you click on it, it shows you the next new moon. And when it's a new moon, you have better shot at seeing the galactic center. And that's on 6/21/20. If I do it again, it'll go to 7/20/20. And I think if I do a double tap, it goes backwards. Yep. So I'm double tapping on this, and it goes early, a month earlier. Right now it's 5/22. If I do a single tap, it goes to 6/21. And if I do the double tap, it brings back to 5/22. But it gives you information about how high in the sky, or this is the direction. The azimuth is the direction. The elevation is how high in the sky is it, so that you can say whether it's going to clear a building, or will it be in the shot with the building, that kind of stuff. All right, so this line that's on here now is information about the moon. And one of the things that you can do is, this is the map settings. So if I click on map settings, see, I'm in camera mode, but it also has a drone mode. So for those of us out that have drones, we could select the drone mode, and now the map, when we go back, you see this looks like a drone now, and these bars are kind of the viewpoint of it when it is 2,000 feet in the air. So that probably isn't a good spot for a drone because that's illegal. How can I do that?
Hey, Wayne.
Yeah.
It's 7:56 right now. I just wanted to know where you are. How much time do you think you have? Do you want to take a break?
I don't need a break. If there are questions out there, I'll be glad to answer some questions. I think I got about another half hour because I want to go through, develop a plan. But again, I'll open up for questions right now so that if people have to leave after the first hour, they can do that.
All right. So we have a first question from Andrea Gardner. She asked, can we have more lessons? And I know you talked about that in the.
Yeah. So at the end of this, I'm going to ask Nancy and to send out either with the Google resource and an email giving people my email address if they're interested. Now, this is really the next one is really if you have the app and are willing to purchase the app and then play along with me. It's more of a hands-on. Can't do it with a whole lot of people. So depending on how many people sign up, it might be multiple sessions. We did it with 5 people, and that was pretty much a handful. But again, it's one of those things. I'll be glad to do that, and we'll be able to do more in-depth questioning and things like that. So.
All right, and we have a question from Peter, and he was asking for these apps. Did you, how did you learn this? Was it mostly all from tutorials? Did you watch it from YouTube videos? Where should beginners start?
I would definitely say go to their website and photopills.com. There are, or actually they have a YouTube channel. I would subscribe to that channel and then search for a particular, if you're a beginner, search for a particular type of photo that you want to take. So choose a sunset, choose a location, and then follow along with them during their tutorials that they have. They're located in Spain, so they do a lot of stuff on Mallorca and beautiful spots there. They've done some tutorials in New Zealand, all that kind of thing. So again, they have some that are individual for sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, Milky Way. Then they have these, what they call master class. It's kind of what I've just done. Plus they go through a bunch of plans where they get into a really bunch of detail about how do I make a moon rise so that it comes to the top of the Empire State Building, for instance. Well, how do I set up when I can see Manhattan Henge, where the sun is rising on 42nd Street or setting on 42nd Street. So yeah, it's all that kind of stuff is they have tutorials that are, they bring in experts. I was watching Night Sky photographer, and they brought him in, and he was talking about different places that he could, he had been and how he took those photos and stuff. So they have a lot of those kind of things. So hopefully that answers the question. Probably was too much.
No, that's fine. Does anybody have any more questions? If not, then you'll have an opportunity to ask more questions at the end of the meeting.
All right, so this is interesting. So we were talking about the different portions of the planner, right? So these are panels that there are a number of different panels that are up here. All these dots mean there are different panels, and you swipe right to left and left to right, that kind of stuff. If there was an eclipse coming up, you could plan your eclipse photos as well. It does all that kind of stuff. Where else? Those are panels. This is the map area. This is the timeline where you can swipe back and forth. It's got AR, it's got night AR on this one. There's a find button, a load button, a save button down here on the bottom. These are all, what I did was I pressed this button, which puts the pin. People were asking before, how do I get this red pin where I am? Well, it also has the blue dot. That's me where my phone is. Okay. And this is where the red dot is when I push on this button, it places it there. Okay. So I've now placed, if this was a dark area, I could take a photo from my house across the pond that's near it towards this courthouse that's here. It's got a white steeple on it, and it would, the galactic center would be visible to the left of it, looking from this pin towards that steeple. So again, it's not dark. There's way too many streetlights around, so I would never even see this. But that's what the map is showing me. And I'll get into some of those things as well. The blue line, this is moonrise. This is moonset. We got these concentric circles is where this is for the Milky Way. So if I press on the map setting, let me go back. If I press on this button down here, which is map settings, brings me in this mode. You'll see I can turn on the layers for the sun. The moon is already on. You got the eyeball is there. If I was doing a meteor shower, I'd want to turn that on. If it was eclipse, I could turn those on. If I was doing the sun, I probably wouldn't want the Milky Way because that's kind of like clouding, cluttering up the map. And I might not even need the moon, so I just turn that on. And now when I go back to the map, it only shows me where the sun rises and where the sun sets. But the pin is still in that same place, okay? What else we got here? So I'm gonna go through a really brief plan to do a photo shoot at Situate Lighthouse, Old Situate Lighthouse. Okay, so the way I get there is I go down to the bottom where it says load, and it gives me a bunch of options. Now, if I knew it was in points of interest, I could click on here and gee, it is there, but that's because I saved it just recently. But I got a couple other things that I had just entered recently. If I can also load a plan, or if I knew, I've never been to some place, but I used Google Maps and I got the latitude and longitude. I could click this one and enter the latitude and longitude. If I took a photo in a particular place, a lot of the phones nowadays have geotagged photos. So if I took a photo, I could click on this one. I don't know what's in my gallery, so I'm not going to click there. So if I click on on this one, it would bring up the information that is in the photo that I select. Or, and this is the easy part, is that there's a search address, right? So all I have to do is go up there and type in Situate, and then as down here it shows Situate Lighthouse, I'm gonna click on that one, and it puts the red pin right on the map, and that's the lighthouse right there. All right, so we know that we never shoot it from there though, because that's way too close, right? So we shoot it from across the bay. So I'm just pinching the map to zoom out. And lots of times we'll shoot from this beach that's over here on the other side of the bay. So another way to move the shooting position, all you have to do is press and hold on the map, and the shooting position moves that to there. Okay, so now I'm going to say, all right, so I want to do a moonrise, because it doesn't look like the sun's going to go anywhere near the sunrise. If I can swipe the time, and it's going to show me the lines. If you see the line of the sunrise and sunset, they're moving. You know, I'm out to July now, but going to be a long time before it gets anywhere close to the lighthouse. Okay, better way to do that. But I know that the moon is easy to get that. So I'm going to go to map settings. I'm going to go, instead of sun, I'm going to say I want to see the moon. I'm going to come back out. Now it's the moon here and the moon rise and the moon set. And I'm gonna tap on that. Come on. So now I just tapped on it, so it's 8:17 and 5:28. It's getting dark out there. The map turns dark when it gets, after the sun goes down. So this is where the moon rises. So one of the things that I can do is I can set up a pin, and it's what they call the shooting pin. Across the top, again, we're going to go up to these panels up here. I'm going to move to the second panel, and you'll see that there's two pins there. One's the red pin, one's the black pin. If I press on that, the black pin comes up. And then to move it, I'll press and hold on the black pin. It raises up, and then I move it over to the lighthouse, and I can drop it down. Now, that gives you information. There's an altitude difference of 26 feet between the red pin and the black pin. I believe the lighthouse is slightly higher than where the red pin is. Okay. So if I want the moon closer to this line here, I'll up at the top. There's a bunch of information. One bit of information that it's 2134.2 feet from the red pin to the black pin. So from that beach to the lighthouse, it's just over 2,000 feet. This is the azimuth, is the direction from the compass direction from the red pin to the black pin. And the altitude is how high above the red pin is the black pin, because the terrain is higher. It's not because I put it up higher. It's just wherever I put it down, it looks at the altitude of the place that I placed it, and then it compares it to the shooting position. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to get this line, which is the moon rise, closer to this thing. So one of the things that we can do is we can move in time, and it gets closer and closer to it, right? So now you see that the moon rises here, and from this shooting position on this date, which is 6/1/20 at 2:26 a.m., the moon will be just to the left of the lighthouse. So if that's what I want, now I don't know what the moon phase is at that time. So if I go over here, it won't be a full moon. It'll be a mostly full moon. Okay? But it won't be a full moon. So if I wanted a full moon, then I come down to the find, and it brings up whether I want to do sun or moon. I'm going to do moon. And then it brings up, okay, so I'm going to do moon, and this is the azimuth between the shooting position and the lighthouse. Now, one of the things is that I want it above, well, I don't want it at 0. This is the elevation above the horizon. So I don't want it at really low because I already know it's 16 feet above me, so I need at least 16 feet. And then I want it, you know, maybe close to the top of the Situate light. Well, I looked it up, and the Situate light from the base to the top of the light is 70 feet. So I want it so that it's, say, 60 feet just to the left of the lighthouse, okay? So I'm going to click on elevation, and I don't want it at 105. I'm going to do numeric down here. So elevation, what is it degrees? Parent height. So I want this at 60 feet. Okay. The plus or minus 2, that's kind of a tolerance. So it's 114 degrees, 114.33 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees. To get to 60 feet above the horizon, it's an elevation of 2.09 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees. Because what I'm going to do up here, and this is, I don't need this. This is a date range that I'm going to search. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go from today, the 28th of May, for 1 year. Come on, 1 year. Okay, so it's 5/28/20 to 5/27/21. All right. Now, once I've got these parameters done, I hit the looking glass there, and it shows me all of the ones that are close to that. And then I can do phase up here and do it again, and it shows, it sorts them by, and I want to look at the full moons, right? So this one looks close. This one looks close. This is in a golden hour. This is daytime. This is one of the nighttime shoots. So let's select that one. And you see that the sun, I mean, the moon is going to rise there. So now I can press and hold on here. So now this is 15 minutes. The timeline is now 15 minutes. So as I move this, I can kind of line it up that way. There we go. Could be that it's at 6:26 p.m. on 9:30. It'll be just to the left of the lighthouse. I can go to that first pin, I mean the second panel, and it shows you that moon height is -5 feet. Well, I don't want that one. So I can keep moving it. There we go. So again, so this is 56 feet, 90 feet. And then this is the apparent size of the moon. So simple. This is a simple plan that I put together, and it's for Wednesday, September 30th at 6:41 p.m. And I could go there and be pretty certain that from that position on that beach, I'm going to get the moon just to the left of the lighthouse. All right, I'll ask for questions now. No questions?
If you want to raise your hand, just press the hand raising thing on the side on your name. It doesn't look like anyone does.
Okay. So I mean, after creating this plan, right, you want to save it. So again, down the bottom here is the save button. And then you can, the way I put the Situate light as a point of interest, I did a load and I searched for it, and then I saved it as a point of interest. But because I just created a plan, I'd click on plan. I can save a new plan and give it a new name. I can overwrite an existing plan, which would allow me to select from these plans in here. And then once you do, if I do new plan, no. If I do new plan, I would type in some information and then do a save. Click the save button up here. And now that plan is saved in there. So I could go back to the planner. I could do, well, let me do this. Now I just moved the pin back to where I am. I'm at my location. So now I'm going to do load, and I'm going to load the plan, and then I'm going to search for test. And when I click on test, it brings up the plan that I just saved. So that's about it for tonight. I mean,
Hey, I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure you can.
All right, so you know how we did the that sunrise on the 20th over Powder Point Bridge?
Yes.
So I was told that that happens twice a year. Can you use Photopills to figure out what the other time of year is that it does?
Yeah, same thing. Load, plan. So this is the plan that I created, right?
Yeah.
It's got the sunrise, it's got the moonrise. I'll turn the moon off, and I'll turn the Milky Way off. No, yeah, we want just the
Yeah.
sun.
We just want the sun.
Okay. And then I'll do find. And then I'll do sun. Whoops. Oh, did I lose the? Okay, I lost the black pin. So. So I'm going to zoom in, move the pin. Hopefully this is the middle of the bridge right there. Okay. That's on the other side of the bridge from Duxbury, right?
Right.
And you see this is the line right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So now when I do the find in the sun, it's going to use that line right here to say, okay, where am I going to line up with the pin? Right?
Yeah.
This one, we could change the elevation to 0 here. Okay. The azimuth is the direction from the red pin to the black pin.
Okay.
The date ranges from 5/28 to 5/27/2021.
Okay.
Now when I do this, it's going to show me those. So I want to look for the 75. Okay.
How come it goes right from July to next May?
Well, remember that we did it. This says it does it more than just 2 times a year. Where'd you read that it was only 2 times a year?
Oh, the woman, the first time I saw that picture, the photographer told me that it happens twice a year.
Well, yes and no. So
Okay.
there's an altitude difference of 11 feet, right, between the red and the black pin. So it's got to get at least that high in the sky. And so I'm going to press and hold down the bottom so that now this is a 15-minute. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And so this line is when it just crests the horizon
Okay.
in the ocean. This is at 5:18 a.m. This is the actual where the sun actually is at 5:18. Okay.
Yep.
So now I'm gonna go 19. See, it's moving closer and closer to the pin.
Yeah.
So I believe that would also work on the
On the 30th?
on the 30th.
Wow. Cool.
I believe.
What it looks like.
Well, so now you gotta zoom in on it, right? So that's the one thing that, like I just touched the screen and the red pin moved.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go over here, and then there's like a go back, like
Yep.
undo.
Yep.
And that put it back to where it was. So now if I move over here, I gotta see. So it looks like the shooting position is off. It's a long freaking bridge.
It really is. And you're
Yeah.
not even at the end of it. The pin's not at the end.
I'm at the end, but I'm in the on the beach. So now I just press and hold it. The pin pops up. I come over here to the center of the bridge and drop it down. All right, go, come on. There you go. So now it's lined up. So now it's 5:26 a.m.
Cool.
Yeah. So again, and it's gonna, it gives you, it's sun height is 82 feet above it. So it might only be 2 times a year when it's just cresting over the road,
Yeah. maybe
82 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that might be what we need to look for
Okay.
in that list of suns that were
Yeah.
listed. But that might be too high in the sky just to do it.
Cool.
But so the size of it, like this is 82 feet to the center of the sun, okay?
Okay.
And from that distance, 2,200 feet, it's going to look like it's 20 feet across.
Okay.
The size of it is determined by how far away are you. If you use I'm sorry?
That makes sense.
Um,
The further away you are, the smaller it's going to look.
well, not really. The further away, you also have to go through more atmosphere. So if it's low in the sky, it may
Uh-huh.
actually look bigger.
Okay.
So I mean, the sun, the size of the sun never changes. So if they say this is it looks like it's 20 feet, that's
Yeah.
all it's doing. It's looking like it's 20 feet.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
So and if you knew the width of the bridge, it's probably like 40 or 50 feet across, width wise.
Yeah.
So 20 feet would take up most of the roadway.
So if we wanted to do this again, then we can go back on the 30th, 10 days after we did it.
Well, I'd have to look to see where this is down lower. Like I said, the difference in altitude. Oh, I'm gonna need to look at where the sun height is
Uh-huh.
when I line this up, right? So I might need. Hold on a minute.
So you go back to the old plan, the one that you did on the 20th?
No,
What
I
the height is?
need to get. I think I need to get this one closer to this. Like I can always line up the sun with the road.
Okay.
Okay. But what you really want is you want to get this as close to this as possible so that you can get it rising right above the road.
Right.
Okay, so let's do that. Go back to the find. We selected that one. I think went further away. Okay, so I changed it to 51721
Yeah.
and on the other side of the road. So that's close. Back to find. Close. Okay, getting closer. Went back on the other side. Okay, so that's a close one. So on 7/22/22,
Yeah.
2020, at 5:26, it's not quite line. This is the line of the sun right here, right? So Looks like 528. We'll line it up with the pin.
Cool.
So, and then, it might be just below the dunes on the other side.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, we're gonna do it one more time. Instead of 722, we're gonna go back to this one. Yeah. And then we're gonna move the time, so that's over that. Okay, so I need it just left of it. So you see what I'm doing is that I'm moving it to this side of the pin, and
Yeah.
then I'm moving the time so that I'm seeing this line up with there, so that I get this to be the, you know, if the difference is 7 feet between the pin and the shooting position, I need it to be at least that high.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so gotta go back to the find. And what do we have? What date was that? 7/20?
20.
All right, so I'm gonna go to 18. All right, so now now that looks good. 26 feet
Yeah.
above the black pin, and the altitude difference between, so it would only be like 19 feet above the black pin.
Mm-hmm.
And if it looks like it's 20 feet, so
Yep.
that's almost the full sun above the black pin.
Cool. All right, so we're going to be there on July 18th then, right?
You want me to save that?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So I'm going to do save, and then I'm going to do plan, and then I'm going to overwrite existing plan by going down to Duxbury Powder Point Bridge, right? That's the
Yep.
520. I'm going to click on that one, and it's going to ask me if I want to overwrite it. I'm going to say yes. So now when I just reset the pin, right? So I can load it. Now when I load the plan for Duxbury Powder Point Bridge, it's 718. Okay,
Yep.
and there it is.
Yay. And it's 15 minutes later. Yay.
Yeah, I still have to get up at 3:30 in the morning.
Not me,
Yeah, I know.
for
Yeah.
once. Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, that sounds cool.
Anybody else? We got the main people, but I don't how many participants do we still have?
Um,
15.
It looks like we got Rick. Rick has a question.
Okay,
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. If you produce a plan, can you
Yes.
send that plan to somebody else's phone?
Yes.
Okay.
You want me to do it?
No, I'm just curious. I don't have.
So one of the things that,
program yet.
like I said, you could share the plans. So
Okay.
down here, there's a thing that's more, and you do an action, and then you can say share the plan
Okay.
or add it to my calendar. So that would be good. I'm going to add it to my calendar first of all. Okay, and I'm going to choose the calendar, and it sets up the plan. And this is Duxbury PowerPoint sunrise, right? And it's got all the data in there about the plan, and I'm going to save it. And now I want to share it. Okay, I do the more again, do action. I'm going to do share the plan. Okay. Then how do I want to share it? I can do newsfeed. I'm going to do it email. So what it is, it sends you a JPEG file, and it sends you the KMZ file. The KMZ file is actually the plan, and you would once you have the app, you would load the KMZ file into your app, and it will you'll be able to see it then. That make sense? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, any other questions? So I think, Wayne said earlier, what he's going to do is we're going to have small little workshops, and I'll just make an announcement, Wayne. We'll do like a chimp mail like we do in the weekly
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and see who wants to sign up. And then we can go from there and see how we can break down those classes.
Right. So, like I said, it's going to depend on how many people sign up for it. If, for instance, only 4 sign up, we'll have one workshop. And if you've got a particular location that you want to, do a plan for, then we can do that. If not, we'll make up some. The thing about Photopills, and the guy was saying, you still have to go and find the places to take photos, right? So, if you're going to take mine at light, well, are you going to shoot it from the glades? Are you going to shoot it from the beach? What's the beach, Nancy?
Minot Beach or Sandy Neck in Cohasset.
Yeah. If you're gonna, you would say, okay, so that's where you put your red pin, and then you would show the map and put your black pin on Minot's light, that kind of stuff. What else? I mean, like when a lot of the plans that you saw when I did the load, a lot of those were, I was down in South Carolina, and I was just looking for places that might be, dark enough so that I could do a night sky type thing. Never actually got out to shoot any, but I planned a bunch of them. But again, it's the app is really interesting in that it gives you a ton of stuff, like putting the black pin on there and it telling you that it's 100 feet above your shooting position. Somebody asked earlier, if they were a beginner, what would they do? And you go to the academy portion of the thing, and then if you click on the video tutorials, it takes you to Photopills, and you say first thing you need to do to download Photopills is enable the widgets, that kind of stuff. How do you move the red pin around? How do you photograph the Milky Way from idea to photo? They have different things. If you're doing star trails, they talk about depending on which direction in the sky are you pointing, whether you'll get a circle. If you're pointing towards the north, you'll get a circle in the northern hemisphere. Or if you're pointing to the west or to the east, you'll get arcs rather than a circle, and then it'll arc one way and arc the other way. They have all of these things. How to photograph the moon with the foreground and a telephoto lens. All this stuff. And they have all of these on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel that's great. They have how-to articles if you'd rather read stuff. They got definitive guides on doing Milky Way photography. You click on that, and it's gives you something to read rather than watch. So again, depending on whether you're a visual learner or I want to see something in writing and give me step-by-step type stuff, you can download these ebooks. All this stuff is free too. So people when people say, well, how much does it cost? Well, it cost $9.99 the last time I checked. And I think it's worth every penny of it with all the free content they give you on how to do it. It's pretty amazing. So, that's another hour. Yeah, if anybody, any other questions before we go?
Betty says, thank you, Wayne.
Welcome,
Peter says, thanks, Wayne.
welcome, welcome.
Nice to hear all those voices. Great job, folks. Miss you all. Peter says, thank you.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
Betty said, fascinating.
I miss you, Peter.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, look at who it is. The squirrel himself.
What a squirrely man he is.
Oh, we're still recording. We can stop recording now, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, we'll keep that in there.
The squirrel man.
The squirrel man?
Yeah.